Hello, everyone. Well, it's finally happened. We are finally here. After the South Carolina primaries last Saturday, which saw the end of Tom Steyer, Pete Buttigieg, and Amy Klobuchar, then Super Tuesday, which saw the end of Michael Bloomberg, then today, the end of Elizabeth Warren. This means we have a fight on our hands. The one that absolutely everybody saw coming. Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders. At the Democratic National Convention, see Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden face off in an epic head-to-head matchup as they try to get nominated without pissing off the other half of the Democratic Party. That is what we were looking at. That means that at the very core of what the Democrats are fighting over now is progressivism versus establishment. Joe Biden represents the corporate Democrats, the return to the Obama-Clinton-era Democrats. Bernie represents the new age, radical progressive ideas that is boasted by millennials. So we have a quick rundown to go through. Let's start with the South Carolina primary. Joe Biden came out of South Carolina with a sweeping victory, many attributing this to his influence with the African-American community. Because of just how decisively he won, 3 candidates by Monday had dropped out. That being, as noted previously, Tom Steyer, Pete Buttigieg were among the first, and Amy Klobuchar announcing during the day on Monday. These individuals then did something I thought was mildly interesting, and that was endorse Joe Biden. I will explain why I thought this was interesting in a little bit. But then we were left with Warren, Biden, Bloomberg, and Sanders. Super Tuesday then came and went. In those states that participated, Biden and Sanders were the major winners. The next day, the news came that Bloomberg suspended his campaign, and then, like the others, endorsed Biden. The media continued to ask why Warren hadn't suspended yet, considering the low turnout of her voters. That may be slightly misworded. What I mean is, people didn't vote for her. It is also possible, though, that with the progressive base that both she and Bernie had being made up of younger voters, most have theorized that in fact the progressive base is not coming out to vote. And then of course the news today with Elizabeth Warren suspending her campaign, leading us to where we are now. But here's an interesting play. She didn't endorse anyone, not Biden or Bernie, which in my opinion was slightly surprising. I would have expected her to endorse Bernie, but Warren is an establishment player after all. So that may be why she's not endorsing. She's kind of got her supporters on either side of the field in terms of the left wing, but either way, unlike other candidates who have suspended before her, she has not endorsed anyone, and that's a curious thing. So, right before the primary in South Carolina, Joe Biden was endorsed by this man, Jim Clyburn. He is a representative from South Carolina, and he is a majority whip of the U.S. House of Representatives. He is majorly influential when it comes to the Democratic voting base. Many in the left wing have attributed Biden's win in South Carolina and cascading victories as at least a partial result of this man's endorsement. Some of you might be slightly confused. So much news was happening about Bernie Sanders winning in earlier caucuses. What happened? Why is Joe Biden the frontrunner? Well, that's a very, very good question. Some people, primarily Bernie Sanders supporters, are considering foul play as a possibility as to why Bernie suddenly began losing. But the other possibility is that the people from each of these places are very, very different in terms of their demographic makeup. Of course, South Carolina has a lot more African Americans, whereas Nevada does not have nearly the same number. While I could speculate as to why Bernie is failing, that's not really what I'm intending to do with this video. But more on topic, we get to Super Tuesday, and here are some of the more notable results, those being Texas, California, North Carolina, and American Samoa. California went to Bernie with a massive margin in the popular vote. Texas went to Biden based on district, but also winning the popular vote by about 100,000. North Carolina going to Biden with over 150,000 votes more than Bernie Sanders, and a pretty decisive win. And then there's American Samoa that went overwhelmingly to Bloomberg because, reasons. It's just weird. I have literally no idea why this happened. But it's definitely a head turner. So, Biden is currently sitting on 566 delegates at the time of recording. Now, some of the states from Super Tuesday are still tabulating votes, so these may change. Slightly, but unlikely in any significant way. For fun, let's just look at those same states for Republicans. Trump almost got 2 million votes in Texas, even though the people didn't have to go out and vote. But damn it, Texas did it, and they have a decisive choice. The amount in California is equally as interesting, about 1.5 million. That's pretty insane considering it's California, And now I want to touch on that topic that I mentioned earlier. What happens to those delegates from Klobuchar, from Buttigieg, from Bloomberg? Well, I looked for that answer, and I have this article from ABC 11. How previously won delegates are divided when candidates drop out of the 2020 presidential race. As more Democratic candidates end their presidential campaigns, many people are wondering what happens to the delegates those candidates have already won. The answer is, it's complicated. Oh yeah, it's complicated. According to ABC News, pledged delegates in any state are not legally bound to vote for any candidate, but are presumed to be loyal to one candidate. But here's where things get complicated. Candidates get delegates if they win at least 15% of the vote in a particular state or congressional district. If a candidate drops out or suspends their campaign, before delegates are chosen to fill the role, those previously won state delegates will be reallocated among candidates still in the race, based on the candidate's performance in each state. However, district-level delegates, the majority of awarded delegates, are chosen faster than state delegates and do not get reallocated even if a candidate drops out. These delegates then become free agents who can vote on the first ballot at the Democratic National Convention, unlike superdelegates who cannot vote until the second ballot. New Hampshire district-level delegates have already been selected, but none have been selected in Iowa or Nevada. So, when a candidate drops out of the race, they can either endorse another candidate and ask their delegates to support that candidate, or release their delegates, meaning then they become free agents. Since campaigns have a role in that selecting delegates, they are generally considered loyal to the candidate they would have backed, and would be expected to listen to that candidate should they endorse another nominee. That last sentence is where it gets interesting. The delegates will listen to the candidate they voted for in their endorsement. That means that Buttigieg, Klobuchar, Bloomberg, Steyer, they all gave their delegates to Biden. Mostly, except for the outstanding cases mentioned earlier. Here comes the speculation. You have been warned, someone get me a tinfoil hat. Imagine you were a skeptic, and you knew that Bernie was going to be running, and you really didn't want Bernie to win. Then you could start running and draw votes away from Bernie and Biden, of course. But then when you don't take the lead, you can drop out and hand off whatever you scrounged together so that Bernie couldn't have it. What a bizarre theory, right? That would probably never happen, right? Maybe I should keep this thing on for a bit. But tell me what you guys think. I know I said a lot of words this time around, but since I won't be around for a political stream tomorrow, I wanted to give you guys some interesting thoughts to keep you busy while I'm away for the weekend. So thank you all for joining me this evening. I hope you have a good one, and I will see you all soon.